Hi guys, it's Mrs. C here with Cycle 1, Week 6, Master's Edition, I guess. I am going to just jump right into geography. So with my Master's, they're able to find these locations on the map so quickly that I'm not using a ton of tricks or anything. We're just literally finding all of them, going over them, and then again, while their maps are out, we are reviewing all of our other locations, especially since we're still around the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia, Mediterranean Sea area. So, and we're connecting where those are in relation to what we've already talked about. So today, when we talked about the Aegean Sea, we pointed out that it connects the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea, and that it's next to Asia Minor and all of those things. We also talked about that Crete is not Cyprus, and that we have Cyprus over here and Crete, and that Rhodes is in between. Just pointing out those other locations that they have already learned in previous weeks, trying to connect them all together. Our history sentence has to do with ancient Greece too. So as we go through history, starting to tie that back into, here is where our history sentence is taking place today. So went through all of those, just labeled them, dry erased with them, and then spent time going back through all of the rest of our geography, and then went back to the geography from this week to see what they could remember, which is what. So you'll have some kids that catch on really fast and they have a really quick memory, and then others of them, it might take them a little bit. So just my advice is don't let the one kid who knows all the answers answer all the time. Try to get the other students engaged. So that is what we did for geography. After geography, we went into timeline, and I had my timeline cards around the room. Again, I don't know where you are, but it is just been pouring. It's been a dreary, cold day here today. So we were kind of, we're kind of meh about getting up to do stuff today. So after doing this, we stayed in our seats and didn't do too much. But I had the timeline cards around the room, and then they found them. I was singing through the timeline for this week while they were looking for them. And then we went through them and just talked a little bit about each card, because again, most of my kids can sing this in their sleep. So we went through the cards. We talked about, pointed out the Mayans and Mesoamerica, how their pyramids look very different than the Egyptian pyramids. Talked about Julius and Caesar and Augustus, and just, read a few little things off the back of the cards to them, just to kind of help them, again, since we are talking about these empires right now, just to kind of help them connect things. So that was what we did for timeline. For math, our director, we do on our campus science and art folders, and she had asked us at the beginning of the year, as we had time, to have the kids work on one of these pages that she got printed off and color them for the fronts of their folders. And I kept forgetting about it, and we just hadn't had time. And with it being week 6, I wanted to go ahead, get that in there. So while they worked on coloring these, we went through and I said the math facts for them. And then we listened to the math facts song from King Things that has the full multiplication tables on there. I'm still memorizing those, so I can't sing them completely by myself, but I was trying to sing along with them. And then once we did those a few times, I let them do their skip counting songs. So that's what we did for math. I had the idea, but again, it was a dreary day here. I have these dry erase cubes, and I left off 15 and 1, so we just have 2 through 12 on there. And my idea was to read through them and then let each student take a turn rolling the dice. So like this time I rolled a 3 and a 2, so we would say 11 times 3 is 33, 11 times 2 is 22, 12 times 3 is 36, and 12 times 2 is 24. Then the next student would roll, and I got a 3 and a 14. So if they rolled the same number again, I would have them re-roll. So I had 11 and 14. So we would go through and say the multiplication facts for each of those for 11 and 12, just to kind of break it up and not make it so monotonous, and to make it so because some of the kids are fast enough that even though they do know the skip counting, but they're also fast enough to just add them in their head, so to kind of break it out of order a little bit. Because if you are doing Memory Master, you have to be able to do it with the flashcards, and they're not necessarily going to be in order. So trying to break that up for them. Again, I didn't end up doing this. We just listened to the songs because it was really chill today. The kids were really into these coloring sheets. I was super surprised because I have 5 boys in my class, and a couple of them really like art, and a couple of them will draw 2 lines and like they're done. But everybody was really in. They were participating. They were singing along. They had been saying multiplication tables. And so I had told them to put away, and they were like, no, we're doing it. And I was like, all right, well, fine. We can just keep doing that. And so they kept coloring while we listened to our history song. So I read through it. Again, tried to make some connections of things for them. We're in ancient Greece. Where is ancient Greece on our map? We talked about the Pythagorean theorem, and that has to do with triangles, and see, just whatever, anything else they could connect. We talked about how it's funny that it's considered Western ideas because for us, they're Eastern. So then we just listened to the sentence. Several of them knew it already. A few of them needed a little refresher. And then as they were still coloring and listening, I would erase some of the main words off the board so that they didn't really have that to go off of as they sang along. Then we just went right into chanting our Latin declensions. They're a repeat from last week, so nothing super new there. Again, several of my kids know them. If you can't place it, it is the verse section of Jingle Bells, so the dashing through the snow, to get you started. And I am trying to go through, I know we don't know exact pronunciation, but I am trying to emphasize the difference between, say, first declension when it's arum and second declension when it's aurum, just to help them place those. So then I finally made them put their coloring pages away. They were coloring the whole time. And we went to science. And for science, I've used these like a bajillion times for a bajillion different things. If you don't have anything like, around your house to just write on and dry erase, just cut up some squares of cardstock or construction paper and laminate them. And then you can dry erase on them. So I had these 1 through 6, and I just let them pick one, and they had different ways to say it on the back. So with our vertebrates, we again said, last week we were talking about invertebrates. This week is vertebrates. I let all of them pick which kind of vertebrate they would be. You can guess what most of the boys picked. And then we went through and said it in these different ways. So on here for the older kids, I have while holding your tongue, whisper voice. I kept volcano voice because it's still fun. Volcano voice is very sort of quiet, and then you get really loud. Fancy voice, and I let them pick whatever kind of fancy they wanted to be. While holding your nose, and Darth Vader. To do Darth Vader, you just cover your mouth. And every so often you poke into your hand. So we did it in 6 different voices, and that got her 7 times in. For prepositions, I saved that one to the end. I'm making sure that I've gone through everything. Yep. I saved that until the end because we did kind of ended up playing like the floor is lava. And we reviewed what a preposition is. And then again, with my class, they are doing the entire preposition song every time. We do take a minute to go over the specific ones for the week, but they all really want to do this whole song and have it down. So we've been doing that every week, and most of them are getting to the point where they can do it now. So I had them push the tables to the center of the room and push their chairs back. And on this, so this is in your guide, it's on page 64. It is in the proofing sheets for Memory Master. And I just photocopied these, put them into page protectors so the kids can use them as we are learning. But I didn't let them have one today. I took it and I just marked a few of them on here. And we started chanting. And when we got to one I marked, I would say switch, and they all had to run and get into a different seat. And so then we would continue chanting. And when we got to another one that I had touched, they all switched and got into a different seat. And it ended up that Like the goal was to do it quickly. They were all ended up standing on their chairs by the end of it. We have kind of wider seats, so it was safe. But they were all standing on their chairs and they were trying to not touch the floor as much as possible. So you could totally play the floor is lava game and give them like 10 seconds when you say switch for them to have to run and get into a different chair before you start up again, or else they're out and in the lava. So we did that, sang through a few times. Each time we sing through, I would erase it and pick a few different ones to make them switch chairs, and it just kind of got them up and moving. And that was all we did for new grammar. We actually got through everything pretty quickly today. I would not color every week for these subjects. However, again, today it was just kind of a chill, rainy day, and so it worked very well for today. So it is an option to do that sometimes. You know, when we do review later on, and with the little kids, I've done coloring before and they're singing along and doing it. So I feel like as long as your class is participating while they're doing that and they aren't, you know, being crazy or totally ignoring you, you can do some more kinesthetic things like that. I will tell you what I did for review today because it was super fun. I used another set of these dice that I have, and one dice has point values. So I think I had 3 5s, 2 10s, and 1 15 on there. And then the other one had equal positives and minus signs. I think the next time I do it, because I think we'll definitely play it again, I think I will put more positive than minus. So I think I'll put like 4 plus signs and 1 and 2 minus signs on there. So the way that it works is you ask a question, a review question, you divide in, let me start over. The way it works is you divide into 2 teams. You could have more teams if you want, but 2 seems to work best. And you ask a question. I just start at week 1 and I just work through all the material. You know, the first team gets asked math, multiplication tables. The only time I switch it up is if when going through, we end up, you know, every team, math is getting asked to the same team every time. I will switch that up. And I don't do geography because we have already reviewed that at the beginning. So if they get it right, then I ask them, do you want to keep the points or give the points to the other team? So they get to decide before they roll the dice. They have to decide if they want to keep or give them. And so whatever they roll, if they've decided to keep it, their team gets it. If they've decided to give it, the other team gives it. So if they may decide to keep and roll +5, and awesome, their team gets +5, but they may roll and get -15 and they get to keep -15. But if they say give and they roll, they might roll +5 and give the other team 5 points, or they might roll -10 and take 10 points away from the other team. So it just depends on what they want to do. I let each student take a turn rolling, and that student gets to decide whether they want to keep or take. I mean, they can obviously listen to their teammates' input on that, but they're the one that has to say keep or give. Sorry, I keep saying take. Keep or give. So anyway, so again, I would ask a review question. They would give me an answer. If they get a correct answer, I say, okay, are you going to keep them or are you going to give them away? Once they give me their answer, then they roll. So the key is that they don't know what they're rolling before they say if they're going to give them or keep them. So it keeps it interesting. It started off, we had one team that was like -30 and they stayed negative the whole game. The other team was up and down the whole time, and it ended up that we were only separated by like 5 points at the end. So again, I think next time, just to keep it more encouraging, I would have more positive plus points, not points, but plus signs on this so that they're earning points more than they're getting them taken away. So that is what we did for review today. So anyway, we have a 2-week break. So I will be back October 13th with week 7. And then we're going on vacation. I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, but I will go ahead and try to do weeks 8 and 9 and have those uploaded before I go, or very soon after I upload week 7. And then that way, hopefully we can all stay together. So I hope you guys have an awesome week. I hope that it is a more beautiful day than it is here. And I'll see you guys back in 2 weeks. Bye guys.